Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next session of Meet the Members of Empower Africa. I'm excited and honored to be here and to host this terrific podcast. My name is Shai Bernstein. I'm VP of Business Development and Partnerships in Empower Africa. And we're going to have more and more of these as our business community keeps growing and growing. We start inviting the people that we've identified with our lists last week. We're currently at 1,700 members. So it's growing by the hour, let me tell you. Before I present our distinguished guest, for those who are joining us for the first time, Empower Africa is a business community with a mission to drive investment, trade, and job creation in Africa. We believe in trade over aid, and that business is the best way to build things and make a difference. We have three verticals of the company. We have the Empower Africa Business Network, our events and trade missions, and also consulting and project facilitation. But we believe in bringing good people together. We believe in the power of synergy. And our goal is to create connections, optimize the communication, and maximize the collaboration that can happen between all these different stakeholders. And so the business community brings together all the different stakeholders who are doing business in Africa. So that would be SMEs and startups, investors, right? Banks, PEs, VCs, and so on, governments, multinational enterprises, all in one place. Speaking of bringing good people together, it's my pleasure and honor to invite our distinguished guest today, Jean-Jacques, aka JJ, Ndayisenga. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Good enough. Ndayisenga, Jean-Jacques Ndayisenga.
Ndayisenga. By the way, Jean-Jacques, I have to tell you, JJ, sounds way more respectful and even royalty. Whereas JJ is just, you know, the warmest name one can have. So JJ.
For the network.
yes. JJ, welcome to Meet the Members. Thank you for joining us. Just a quick brief for those of you who don't know JJ. JJ was an operations manager at RTC, Rwanda Trading Company, for over 5 years. And for over a year now, he's the managing director at RTC. If you don't know what RTC is and haven't heard of them yet, they are actually the second largest coffee exporter in Rwanda. I've had the privilege to meet JJ and to visit them and their company during my last trip in Rwanda. And I fell in love with JJ quite quickly. It happens to many people. But I remember, and we're just talking about it now actually before we started, how, first of all, there's this little, but maybe not so little thing that I saw there at the office. The whole office all over is just filled with so many plants, so much green in your eyes wherever you look. And you can see even 1 or 2 plants behind him right now. And I was literally so inspired by it, you know. And actually, you know, came home, and even though I have in my balcony multiple different, you know, even some vegetables and whatnot, I just bought a bunch of green plants because it just adds so much, in my opinion. I love it. I also remember, JJ, that you gave me a cup of coffee, of your own coffee to taste. And it was delicious. And here's a shout out, by the way, to RTC. It's an American company, and they're really doing a tremendous job in Rwanda. JJ will elaborate a little bit further. One of their largest clients is, you know, small concern. You may have heard of them, Starbucks. I remember we also had a very funny discussion, JJ, about how the taste palette, right, of how different people like coffee, right? They like it medium roast, dark roast. Other people think that the dark roast is ruining the coffee, and so on. But you know, to each his own, right? Whatever people like. So JJ, enough of me talking. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Shai. I really appreciate the opportunity to be the guest for today. So to everyone, good afternoon from Kigali. Like I was introduced, my name is Jean-Jacques Ndayisenga. You can call me JJ. And yeah, the managing director of Rwanda Trading Company. So maybe to tell a little bit more about myself. I was born and grew up in Rwanda, average family, schooled in average schools in Rwanda. in a family of 8 kids. I'm the second youngest. So
Wow.
I mostly grew up with my older siblings, kind of following what they were doing and learning from them on a daily basis. At the age of 12, I joined my first boarding school to start my secondary school education. And then after 3 years, I actually changed the school after passing the ordinary level national examination to a different school again that was also boarding. Now I spent 2 years at the new school, and then I learned about an opportunity to attend an international high school, United World College. It's a movement with campuses all around the world. So I actually applied, and at the age of 17, they sent me to go and study in Costa Rica. I spent 2 years in Costa Rica, finishing my 2 years of high school. I did an international baccalaureate diploma there. And then from Costa Rica, I applied to go do my bachelor's at a college in the United States, Colby College, which is in Maine, where I spent 4 years learning economics and a few other things. So right now I hold bachelor's in economics from Colby College. Now, I graduated from Corby. I moved on to San Francisco, where I spent 1 year working as a financial analyst for a health insurance company. You might have of Blue Shield of California. And then after that 1 year, I moved back to Rwanda, and that would have been in 2014. So shortly after moving back to Rwanda, I actually joined the RTC and started at the company as the operations manager. Now, in 2017, the company sent me to Italy, where I spent 1 year learning more about coffee and business. And so I earned my master's in the coffee economics and sciences, which is essentially kind of an MBA for those working in the coffee sector. So that's a little bit about me. I love running and jogging. So most days before I come to the office, I do my 30, 45 minutes run. It keeps me going. It helps my blood to start running so that when I come to the office, I'm, fresh mind and ready to think and power through my day. Thank you.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Fantastic. First of all, I'm totally with you on the running. I love running as well. Only thing is that when you start having kids like me, you have to wake up at 5 a.m. to do that. And even then, that's when you get a good night, at least a 5 hour, solid night's sleep, which in my case doesn't happen much, unfortunately, because my kids, whom I love dearly, are just terrible sleepers. But anyway, enjoy that as much as you can. That's great. I didn't know you went to Costa Rica though for high school. That's fascinating. I was in Costa Rica, I think for my honeymoon actually. It's such a
Oh,
beautiful country.
it is beautiful.
So there's
I always,
there's great
I,
coffee there as well.
yeah, there's coffee as well. I always tell people if I had to choose a second country, it would be Costa Rica.
100%, 100%. Hey,
Yeah.
that's great. So, I mean, I'd love to hear a little bit about just, some of your past or recent activities. You could choose specifically RTC or others, but I just find it fascinating how someone like yourself, right, 8 kids, second to youngest, growing up in Rwanda, was it in Kigali or the outskirts of Kigali or a different area?
Uh, Kind of both. Some parts I was in Kigali, some parts I was outside Kigali. Yeah.
And then kind of from there going to Costa Rica for high school, right? I mean, that must be such a big shift in your mind, socially and whatnot. And then of course going to school in the States, and then coming back and after a few positions, landing this amazing job that you have now, and also doing a great job in it as well, as I hear. So how is that? How do you go through all those transitions with different cultures, not being with your family, right?
Yeah, so thank you, Shai. I mean, I think when I was growing up and seeing my older siblings going to school, I was, before I could start going to school myself, I was always jealous because I would want to follow them, and then my parents would hold me to stay back at the house. But schooling was something that I always, loved from the very early age. And it was the only way, like my parents would always tell me, to eventually be successful in life. And I was always enthusiastic about going to school and doing well in school, and doing my best to attend the best schools that I could get. Now, when I learned of the opportunity to go to UWC, at the time, I didn't even think much about leaving the family behind or anything else. It just sounded like a great opportunity to learn from a great school, get a good education. And that was all that I based on to decide to go. I
Right.
went and spent 2 years there. The experience was good. One unique thing with the school is it's very small, and the school in Costa Rica, it was very small, about less than 200 people, but they came from everywhere. So we represented over 70 countries in just less than 200 people. And so you are there meeting everyone who's also new in the area, and you are adjusting together, learning together, essentially getting exposed to the whole world in
Right.
this tiny small community. And that kind of opened my horizon and made me wanting to essentially stay in the international landscape, if I can call it, or in a global community. Now, by the time I went to college, I was already starting to realize that economics was something I wanted to pursue, mostly because I felt like it was so applicable in so many ways, but it also touched the aspects of my life that I valued the most, which is, I would look back to my country and I will realize not everyone get the opportunity to go to a good school or even get a good education. As a developing country, there was still, of course, and there still is poverty. And so I feel like learning economics was one way to eventually be a participant in that process of helping some level of development in my own country. Now, when you were asking this question, actually, I remembered of an article that, I guess, an interview that we did with my college magazine in my senior year, where they were asking me, like, what are you going to do when you graduate and what do you want to do in life eventually? And I always found myself in between the normal business profit making operations, but also the non-profit kind. I didn't feel like I just wanted to go do non-profit. And my say in that interview was actually that I would want to join an impact business where I'm running an operation that can be, business oriented, self-sustainable, but at the same time, making an impact. And when I look at myself today, working with RTC and seeing the impact that we make in our farming community, the farmers that we work with, the employees that the companies are essentially paying salary for every month, then I feel like really what I hoped for is essentially happening. And it's been very good to work with a company where you feel like you are not just working to earn a salary, but at the same time, you are making a contribution and impact to the community where you are operating from. So
Wow.
yeah.
Fantastic. That's very true. And amen to that. That's great. Can you share a little bit more about, first of all, just where RTC, like how did it start, right? Because I know it's quite an interesting story. And yeah, and then maybe just if you could elaborate a little bit more about the farmers and the growers themselves of it. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so Rwanda Trading Company started in 2009, a company owned by an American businessman, Scott Ford, who used it to run a telecommunication business in the US, Altel, sold it in mid 2000. At the time, we thought maybe he was, taking sit back and, enjoy his retirement, but then eventually decided, he can do more. So he became friend with our president, Paul Kagame, His Excellency Paul Kagame, and was invited to be on the Presidential Advisory Council. And then after some time preaching to people all over the world to come and invest in Rwanda because of all the policy changes and improvements that the country was making, he decided what's a better way to preach that than to be an investor myself. So he looked around and realized coffee was one opportunity that he could invest in. One, because it could make an impact to so many people and it could actually be a viable business. So he started the business in 2009, assembled a team in Rwanda and essentially started learning about coffee the same time he was starting the business in coffee. And the first year, I think the company exported 10 containers of coffee and a lot of learning in that year. But we've now grown to the capacity of doing up to 400 containers per year. And the business is still growing. Now, when the business started, the country has already been pushing for more export of quality coffee beans. And so there were a lot of regulations aimed at improving the processing of the coffee. But then as the government was doing that, the number of people who were joining the business essentially lacked three things. Accessing good finance, knowing how to properly process the coffee, and then accessing the market. So there were people joining the business because they knew, oh, it's coffee, there will be money. But then they go to the bank, they get money to do their businesses, but they often didn't have the right guidance and advices on how to best use that money. And you would end up with operations that were running bankrupt because of either mismanagement of the cash or they processed poor quality that couldn't sell at a profitable level, or maybe they didn't even have access to the right market to actually sell all they processed. So RTC came, we knew we could figure out the financing part. We assembled a team of people who understood the proper processing of coffee. And then we started looking for markets outside Rwanda. So essentially some of the processing units that had been established in Rwanda when the country started mobilizing for higher quality processing, who now didn't have the three major things in one place, we started approaching them. We will have contracts with them whereby we will be the ones giving them pre-financing, and then we will supervise their operations to make sure they are doing everything right to get the right quality, the quality they needed. And then we will buy everything that they process so that we can then do the final stage of processing and then export the coffee. So we started building that chain of processing units around the country, and we would raise the number every year. We started eventually to acquire some of them that didn't want to stay in that business, or were finding other opportunities. And right now we have a network of over nearly 50 processing units around the country that receive harvest from the farmers. They do the first stage of processing, and when they are done, they deliver the coffee to Kigali for us to do the last stage of processing before export.
Fantastic.
Now, that's the side on, I guess, the bigger, the supply chain. Now, when it comes to farmers, we also eventually learned that productivity is an issue. It still is now, but then we were trying to figure out how to start addressing it. So we essentially went around our farming community, grouped different farmers into smaller groups. We had field officers who are semi-agronomists. We developed these curriculums, and we were essentially conducting trainings with farmer groups on a weekly basis, teaching them lessons on how, things like mulching coffee trees, or pruning, or rejuvenation, when to apply fertilizer, and then also adding some courses about basic accounting, for example, so that they can start doing numbers in their farms, know how much they're investing, know how much they are harvesting, know how much profit they're able to make from their farms.
Yeah.
Up to now, we've probably trained over 41,000 coffee farmers in our supply chain. And now that they are all coming to the end of the modules we had prepared for trainings, we are still looking for various ways to continue work with them and continue to improve productivity that we think it's very important, because essentially, if you are able to help the farmer double their production with the same size farm, then you are helping them double their revenue just on the same plot of land, which is really where our focus is. And if we can do that and be able to scale across the country, you are not only helping the farmer, you are building a thriving environment for the business operations, and you are also supporting the overall economy of the country.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. That's great. That's great. Okay, so just before we come to a close, as you know, right, JJ of course joined us as a member of the Empower Africa business community. I mean, if I would ask you, what are you looking for, or who would you like to be connected, within the Empower Africa business community and in general, like, and if you don't have something specifically now, right, think about, okay, this is what I'm in charge of now at RTC. I want to expand to this. I want to improve this, right? Is there anything specific that you're looking for that you would like to be connected to grow your business?
Sure. I mean, I think definitely, like everyone knows, the world is changing very fast nowadays. And we are seeing a lot of focus on sustainability and climate change. There's quite a lot of evolutions happening in the world. Normally I'm looking for clients to buy my coffee. Normally I'm looking for, someone with, willing to buy more volumes. But I also recognize that at the end of the day, we are a community. There are other people in the agricultural sector. People everywhere are conducting different kinds of innovations. And I think more than anything, I want to meet other members of this platform in the agribusiness to learn from whatever forms of innovations and adaptation they are doing to essentially, keep with the changing world, with the changing climate.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great, wonderful. And like we always do at the end of this session, I like to ask our guests to share a specific quote that they like or a story that they resonate with. And so you said I had a beautiful answer. You said I'd love to tell a little story. So please, JJ.
Okay, sure. So it's actually, it's a real story, something that I read, but I thought it could be relevant to this. This guy, Charles Steinmetz, you might have heard of him, a scientist who used to work at GE, General Electric. And, this day, Ford realized they were having trouble with their engine, and their engineers couldn't fix it. So they called General Electric, and GE sent a guy to come and check on that generator. And when the guy reached, he essentially said, "I don't need an assistant, just give me a notepad and a pencil." And the guy was there, scribbling some of his mathematical computation for 2 days straight. And at the end of the last day, he asked for a ladder, climbed the generator, and then labeled on this specific part of the generator and said, "Fix this part, your generator will work." Right. So he left. The engineers at Ford came and fixed that part, changed that part. The generator worked. And so they asked for an invoice. The guy gives an invoice of $10,000. So Ford is there looking, just labeling a part on the generator and charging $10,000 doesn't make sense. He asked for an itemized bill, and the guy is like, labeling the generator $1, knowing what part of the generator to label $9,999. And so I found that interesting because especially, in this digital world where we are live fed with information on, every second.
Yeah.
It's not about receiving information, but knowing the kind of information you are receiving, knowing the right network to network with, the right people to meet or talk to, depending on the specific concern that you have. And I found that very powerful. So it's really, it's not just the information, it's what information you are receiving.
Wow. Love it. Love it.
Thank
Great.
you.
JJ, thank you so much. Always great to catch up with you. And thank you for joining us today on the Meet the Members podcast. And I look forward to seeing you in person soon. If not in Rwanda, then maybe you come to Tel Aviv.
Sure.
Or maybe someplace else on the globe. But yeah, just I heard that there was recently, like we mentioned, some situations and cases, of COVID. So I wish you, to stay safe and healthy. And we'll be in touch soon. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you, Shai. Have a good one.
Take care.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.